Welcome to a rainy July 10th, 2024 here in southwestern Ontario. This is take 2, so hopefully Panther and Tiki will come cruising through again, but I realized with the music playing, I can't use the audio without getting a copyright strike. Zena was beside the tripod, but she's headed out to the kitchen for some kibbles. Panther is currently off to his mason box, so he's sitting in the kitchen, and Tiki, I see, has snuck around behind me. So you might have a chance to peek at her. What I'm doing today, since I can't go out and get some yard work done, is going through and starting to make some notes and prepare for August on my channel, which will be UFO month. The book I started reading yesterday is UFOs, Myths, Conspiracies, and Realities. This is by John B. Alexander. I've had this book for a number of years, but I haven't actually read it yet. I have mentioned a number of the other books I've read, and I'm not sure right now if they're in the camera angle or not. I've got my little pink basket. I'll be going through all of these books and talking more extensively about each of them throughout the month of August. On August the 1st, I also have a guest speaker joining me for the live stream, Enzo, who has been studying this subject for a number of years, and he'll be sharing his thoughts on that subject as well. Today's project is to start making notes so I can remember what I'm going through. As I said, I just started reading this yesterday, and I'm up to page 79. But what I realized this morning is this is going to be packed with a lot of information and agencies and time periods and things to try and keep track of. The awesome thing is this is going to connect back to They're Already Here, The Uninvited, Hunt for Skinwalkers, as well as Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. John B. Alexander worked in the military as well throughout his career. So many of the names that came up in the other books that I've just mentioned are also coming up here. That's why I decided I need to start making some notes, and I'll do the same going through the other books to try and keep everything straight. So the first thing that I'm working on, if you've seen some of my other videos, I like doing mind webs to try and keep some of the information straight, especially if it's a book that contains a lot of different things. So in this case, this book in the middle, I've put the title, the author, and that it was published in 2011, so that at a quick glance I can tell when this information was compiled. What I'm doing on this particular mind web is listing all the different agencies, because there are a number of, and this page is going to be filled in with all the short forms as well as the long form of what the name is. As I begin cross-referencing between this book and the others, then I can use this one at a quick glance to tell me what the name of the agency is. The other page that I started, because I've mentioned I'm also trying to pull different information together into a long timeline. So this page will be to mark important things regarding years and when events happened. I believe it's also important to remember on this topic that a UFO does not mean spaceship. At least not for me. The reason I'm covering this in August is it will be 1 year since I got this capture, and I was very curious to find out what it was, which is when I got in contact with Enzo and he was able to tell me. Now when I saw this object, my first thought wasn't, wow, this is a UFO, I should report it. When I looked at it, to me, it seemed like it was a meteor. To me, it looked like it was possibly a meteor I had looked up a few things. It was the time of the Perseid meteor shower. So to me, that's what made sense. And Enzo will be talking more about how we could narrow that down in our live stream on August the 1st. So I have my mind web, a page to make note of the years. I also have a page involving the names that are coming up throughout this, and I already have a number of them. Another book that's going to tie in with this is, it will also connect in with The Field by Lynn McTaggert, as well as Worker in the Light, also by George Noory and William Barnes, because the names that I immediately began to recognize are Hal Puthoff, Edgar Mitchell, Colm Kelleher, George Knapp, Nick Pope, Ingo Swan, Bob Bigelow. So those names have already come up in a number of other books that I've been reading. It will be very interesting to see how those names and their involvement play out in this particular book. The other page that I started and will continue to keep a list of are quotes. So there are a number of different things that I'll want to read in sections from this book when I cover it, and it may end up being a two-part video because there's a lot of information in here, and the quotes really highlight some of the things coming up. So for example, this first quote that I want to read is by Jacques F. Vallée. I'll be reading that quote in my video when I cover the book, but I wanted to be sure to make note of it because it's a very important beginning to this topic, and from what I've read so far, certainly a good indication about this book. Although Jacques F. Vallée had conversations with John B. Alexander regarding the topic, the different conclusions they came to, I appreciate that in this final paragraph, Jacques mentions that although he respects Dr. Alexander and the work that he did, the attention to detail, it doesn't mean that he agrees with his conclusions. I really like that because it means they could have an open, honest, mature conversation and still agree to disagree. And I love that that is included in this book because it isn't someone who's just, oh yeah, he's a buddy and I'm going to agree with everything he says. Throughout what I've read so far, and like I say, I'm only up to page 79 at this point, but the author, as well as others throughout the book, stress, use common sense, do some of your own research. The sources are listed, so if you want to check things out and delve deeper into it, then you have a starting point to look farther into this topic. And again, I very much appreciate that. Anyway, that is just a little snippet of what's going to be coming up in August. Yes, I will be writing, as I have here, notes within the book. So this is talking about an earthquake in California, and I just made a note to remind me there about all this talk, hi Tiki, regarding electric cars and what happens when there is a problem with the power grid. It isn't like a snowstorm when you can say, I'm just going to be a little late getting to work because you're trying to slowly navigate. When there's a power outage, if your car isn't charged, it means you're not going anywhere. And when the power comes back on, if everyone's running to plug in their car at the same time, guess what? You're going to short out the system again. So I make a variety of different notes when I'm going through the material. As I mentioned, the other books that I'll be covering in August are The Uninvited. This is an expose of the alien abduction phenomena by Nick Pope, a name that I just mentioned. The inside story of the world's best documented UFO incident, Encounter in Rendlesham Forest, This is by Nick Pope with JohnBurroughs, United States Air Force, retired, and Jim Penniston, also United States Air Force and retired. They are already here. UFO Culture and Why We See Saucers. This is by Sarah Scoles. I have some very interesting comments about this book, having since read this one. But first, Hunt for the Skinwalker. This is by Colm, Kelleher, one of the scientists who was at the ranch, and George Knapp, a journalist. And again, both of their names have come up. Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, an insider's account of the secret government UFO program. This is by James T. Lacatski, Colm, Kelleher, and George Knapp. They Are Already Here was published in 2020. Skinwalkers at the Pentagon was published in 2021. And it is very interesting how these two books differ. I'll definitely be talking more about that. Then the UFO phenomena. This is from my Time Life series. Yes, this is also the book that Panther decided to chew on because I'd left it on his coffee table too long. There is a brief snippet of what's coming up in August, so if you're interested in unidentified flying objects, or as they're now referred to, unidentified aerial phenomena, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, so you know when I upload content that may be of interest to you. And until next time, stay dry, take care. Well, you lazy bums, didn't even come help me. Real nice.